Greetings everyone and welcome back to Oracle of Ages! It's dungeon time! Let's do this. Alright, welcome to Mermaid's Cave. This is Mermaid's Cave in the present. You'll notice that everything is deteriorated quite a bit. This will play a big factor in this dungeon. This dungeon spans time and space. We'll have to be going into it in the past and the present. I don't know how many other times I can describe it. Anyway, it's also got one of the most bitchin' dungeon tombs I've ever heard. Hey, we got a map right away, so let's check it out. I bet it looks like a mermaid. I'm right, look at that. The dungeon looks exactly like a mermaid. It's only one floor, too. It's not very complicated. Okay, a few points of note about Mermaid's Cave. The mini-boss and the dungeon item are in the present dungeon. The final boss and the boss key and all that jazz is in the past version, if I recall correctly. And I'm doing it wrong. I just thought I'd put that out there right off the bat. I'm doing it wrong because if you really want to do it the fast way, you should go to the past version first and do everything there, and then come to the present, and then go back to the past again. But the way I'm doing it adds extra stuff to it. But that's what I'm doing, so just get over it. Anyway, this is the first time we've seen this little mechanic. You know, just shoot the eye, changes the room. Not too complicated. This is one of the only parts in the game where the sense seed is actually required. The little owl statue up there pretty much tells us exactly that. The sense seeds will draw the snakes into the pits. Pretty sure those aren't his exact words, but here you get the point. God damn, I'm awful at aiming this thing. There we go. Point of note, just like the key that allowed you to enter the dungeon, keys that you gather in the different time periods of the dungeon will not work in other time periods of the dungeon. Meaning, the keys that I'm getting here in the present dungeon will not work in the past, and vice versa. Alright, this room's supposed to have a hole up at the top, but that is only there after a certain thing has happened. But there's a hole at the bottom we can blow. Why not? This dungeon is where a lot of the puzzles start to get, you know, a little harder. They start to make use of more items that you've gathered. And then these little pushing block puzzles get complicated, as you can see. Let's see here. First one's not too complicated, just pushing it to the red. But it's going to require a little bit of fancy pushing around to get them to cover the other colors. There we go! Alright, and yet another key is ours. Alright, that's actually all that we can do here right now. We can't progress any further without going back to the past. So, fastest way to do that is to use the save warp. You pretty much just reset the game. You are back at the entrance. They weren't nice enough to allow you to use the harps inside the dungeon. You have to use this little portal outside. Kind of annoying, but hey, whatever. We'll get over it. This is where you should be starting the dungeon. As I said earlier, I'm doing it wrong. As you can see, things are not quite in so much disrepair, and there's actually a path over here to the right, which wasn't there in the present. Now, in this dungeon, things that you do in the past directly affect the present version of the dungeon, so by opening that path there, now in the present version, there's going to be a path to the right from the entrance room. It will allow us to progress further. Wizrobes. A little annoying, and I did all this room for a gaseous seed. Great. Didn't really want that, but whatever. Alright, so this is a new enemy. Let me get off the menu screen. There we go. There they are. It's a candle. You light him up, and he starts to get faster and faster and faster until he explodes like a bomb. So, best thing to do is to light him up and get the fuck out of the way, because they're pretty deadly, especially when you only have 3 hearts. Whoa. That was pretty close. Bill's living life quite dangerously. If only a way I could just swim faster. Make this dungeon so much easier. Anyway, we got a map! Yes, the maps are different for the past and the present, so let's check this one out. This one's 2 floors. It looks like the mermaid dungeon started off in pieces, and then over time collapsed in on itself, I guess? It became 1 floor? I don't know. Whatever, I'm gonna need some ember seeds for this next part, so quite handily there are some under these pots. Alright, these torches you have to light in the correct order. Bill knows exactly what that order is because he's a pro. And totally because he hasn't done this before. Once again, this opens up a path in the present dungeon as well, so we can move on there. This is about as far as we go here. Notice the different color of the water. That's the deep water. We actually can't swim in it yet. The super secret dungeon item will allow us to swim in the deep waters, but here I'm checking the map to see where I'm supposed to go next. We're going to save warp again. Alright, this time we're going to take the northern path out of the entrance room. Let's see what's going on up here. These guys are not too much trouble. Alright, I don't think I talked about these enemies even though we've seen them before. Those little floating red things are bubbles. If they hit you, they will jinx you, and you can't use your sword for a certain period of time. Kind of annoying, especially when they throw them in rooms filled with other enemies, as we will see a little later. You don't have to use the sense seed in this room, but I'm doing it anyway because I think it's funny. And there you go. Alright, so we got a key. Remember that locked door? Let's go there. Alright, this is a puzzle where you have to hit both pressure switches and keep them both down at the same time. And this is also the first time we see this guy, the blue Wizrobe. He was handled pretty easily right there. They basically phase in and out of existence. When they are blinking, they can go through walls and stuff, and when they're not blinking, they shoot fire at you, and it's annoying. Alright, now we don't have a pot for the other side, so what are we gonna do? I know! Whip out the cane! Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Alright, the game's about to throw a giant dick move at me by phasing one of those fuckers right in the entrance. Thank you, Capcom, for that. It's totally random. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. This room can get annoying as hell. You've got the Jinxes, which can kill the use of your sword. You've got the Floor Masters, which... There's me not being able to use the sword. The Floor Masters, which will take you back to the beginning of the dungeon. And this fucker phasing in and out all over the place. Very annoying. But your goal, though, is to bomb through the center part. And, make your way up to the top part of the room. Remember when I said in the present dungeon that there should have been a hole in that one part? Well, there it is. Hey, look, a spinner. I don't know what I'm doing here because we can't progress any further. It's time to go back to the present! This teleporting back and forth is the only part of this dungeon that is tedious. Otherwise, I really like this dungeon. I think it's pretty fun. Hey, look, a path. How nifty! And it's filled with these candle guys. No worries, we know exactly how to handle them. He's coming in for a fuck you bump right there before he goes off on his way to explode. No matter. Alright, so this path up here to the right would not have been opened up if we hadn't cleared, when we lit the torches and the giant room opened up, remember, in the past. That opened up this area over here. Fucking bats. I hate the bats. Anyway, it nets us the compass, which is not all that important right now because we're actually, well, we're not quite halfway, but we're close. The bottom path is nothing but spikes and a way to get back if you fall, so don't worry about me not showing something off. Alright, 2 of the blue fuckers. And a Mimo statue. Actually, taking this bottom route, the only thing it nets you is this treasure chest, and it's totally useless because it's only 10 rupees. Thanks for that! Alright, let's take the top path, because that's the way we're actually supposed to go. If you hadn't come here and collected the 2 keys earlier, you have to do them now before you come this way, or else you wouldn't be able to make it this far. And hey, guess what it is? I think I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? Test your luck. Pull the things to test your luck. Oh yeah! Link to the Past. Basically, it's a 50-50 shot whether the lever you pull is going to drop the snakes on you or open the treasure chest. And it always changes every single time, so... There have been times where I come in here and I pull the levers like 20 fucking times before the treasure chest actually appears. But anyway, we've got the boss key. Alright, let's go north this time. I guess I was mistaken when I said the boss key was in the past. It's here in the present. The only thing that's in the past is the boss. Oh well. This time we're going to make our way back to that room where I said that there was the hole in the northern end. And we're going to go through the path. Because it leads somewhere nice. Well, 2 spinners. Okay, so apparently over time, the 1 spinner multiplied into 2. How that works, I'll never know. But whatever. You kind of have to do some fancy spinner manipulation here to get where you want to go. I'm trying to get it to where the second spinner here on the left takes me to the south, just like so. Because there is a key to be had. As you can see at this point, I'm mainly just avoiding all monsters. The monsters are starting to get stronger and more frequent, and with only 3 hearts, Bill is not that survivable. It's easier to dodge, in most cases. Oh, sweet life. Ooh, watch out. Alright, so Ted gets all these fancy items, and Bill is left roughing it. Alright, a little bit more spinner manipulation. This time I'm trying to go off to the eastern side of the room. That's easily done, though. Hey, at least the spinners don't have me going through half of the fucking dungeon to do it, like in earlier ones. Moonlight Grotto. That I'll never mention. As you can see, the switch hook doesn't actually damage the Gibdos, but it will allow you to switch places with them. This guy is a dick. I'm just gonna get that out of the way right now. His name is Vire. He is the apprentice of whichever antagonist of whichever game you're playing in. If you played Link's Awakening, you will recall this guy. He might have been Link to the Past too, I don't remember. Someone tell me. Anyway, he flies around the room shooting fireballs at you. Sometimes he dives at you. That's when you want to hit him. Most times, though, you try to chase him down, he flies out of the room. Like a little bitch. That's why I'm using the Pegasus seeds to try and get to him as fast as possible, but most times it doesn't work. Now, most times by this part of the game, you will have a level 2 sword, and probably a few of those power rings which up your attack, so that makes this guy so much easier. But Bill here is stuck with a stick. A wooden stick, and no rings. So it can make this fight pretty tedious. However, as you can see if you're watching both videos, Ted has a much harder time with this guy. For whatever fucking reason. The other difference between the two is in the Seasons version, there are spikes surrounding the room for fake difficulty. Anyway, when he dies, he splits into 2 bats. You have to jump up and slash him, or you can slash him when they dive at you. But he doesn't actually die. He goes off to report your little scuff to Varen. I'm so scared! Ooh, this room reeks of dungeon treasure. It also reeks of a bomb timing puzzle. Very easily solved, of course. If only I had a bow and I could make some bomb arrows, that would have been really nice. Whatever, we get a fucking mermaid suit. Say about it what you will, I think it's the best thing in the game. So there you go. I said it. I love the mermaid suit. Anyway, let's get out of here. Alright, we're actually done with the present version of the dungeon. Time to move into the past. Wow, did you see how fast I was swimming? Okay, getting the mermaid suit changes the swimming mechanic drastically. Usually you have to push the A button to swim and the B button to dive. Now, the B button still dives, but pushing A actually lets you use an item, but only when you're deep underwater, and you'll see what I mean by that in just a little bit. To swim, all you have to do is push the direction that you want to go. Now, you can't just hold it because he won't do anything. You have to repeatedly push it. That may sound annoying, but it actually makes for much faster swimming, as you will see in the big room full of water here. Holy shit, look at that! Anyway, it also allows us to swim in the deep water. Look at that! Anytime you see dark water, it means you could dive down below. And the different colored tiles while you're underwater means you could dive back up. When you're underwater, you can see Link has this little tail. A fishtail. Oh, jeez. These little guys, if you remember correctly, are from... Well, I don't know if they're first from Ocarina of Time, but I remember them more prominently in Jabu Jabu's belly. They will zap you, and it's no good. You can use most items while underwater, to include the sword, but they have to be on the A button. You can't use your B button while you're underwater, because that's the dive surface button. Although I like to use the switch hook because it's longer range. Anyway, we got a key! Backtrack! Alright, if you've been keeping track at home, that is save warp number 5. Also, I never explored this room. It's another one of those jumping to change the floor things and kill the guys puzzles. And all it does is net you the compass, which is kind of useless to me now since we're almost done, but whatever. Alright, remember this room? Now we can actually progress in it. Because it's got the dark water, we can use our newly acquired mermaid tail to go diving! Plus we have another key, so 2 for 1. Alright, so the left path just leads you to some money. We're not really interested in money. Bill really doesn't need money because he's not buying upgrades or anything like that. It's 30 rupees if you're interested. I don't know why I'm so adamant about killing the snakes. I just can't have them being so goddamn happy. They just look silly. Whoa, arrow traps. Swim fast here to avoid the arrow traps and you'll be just fine. Anyway, it brings us to a room with an annoying puzzle. Basically, you have to bring all of the diamonds onto this tiled path, so I'm going to save you the trouble and skip it! Oh, look at magic! Through the magic of editing! Now we have a key. Anyway, let's go back to that locked door. Alright, we're into the last stretch of the dungeon. We're almost done. Actually, the boss room is the north exit of this room here, so we're already to the boss. This dungeon, it seems longer than it is. But, it's not really that hard. You just have to get a little bit smarter with the puzzles, that's all. Like that one that I just did down there. Anyway, our boss is a giant Octorok. How exciting. You can shoot scent seeds into him when he's turned around to flip him around to his vulnerable side. But you gotta aim better, but you can aim better than I am doing. Or you could just wait for him to flip around and hit him that way. That's also easier. When he does this, he's diving down, and you have to fight him underwater. Which is really annoying, but listen, it wouldn't be so annoying if I didn't have so little life, but he moves so fast that, you know, trying to focus on your new way of swimming that you're just getting used to, it can get pretty difficult. Anyway, I'm almost dead. This is no good. Oh, by the way, I hope you like this swimming mechanic, because we're pretty much going to be swimming for the rest of the game. That's right, the entire latter half of this game has everything to do with water, swimming, diving, and all that jazz. Wow, I've never actually seen him do that bubble attack before. That's usually because I have him killed by now. Most times, like I said, when I'm around here, I have a few power rings and a level 2 sword. He goes down pretty quickly that way. Anyway, we get an essence! What is it? A bereft peak. Why, it's so bereft. Stalwart, even in trying times. Yes, well, whatever. While it's being bereft, all the other peaks are off having fun. Anyway, we get a message from the little tree, because, remember, we're in the past. Great news! Okay, looks like we're off to Queen Ambi's palace. I'll see you guys next time for a little stealth mission later.